everyone, welcome back to the Florida Fishing Academy's virtual classroom. My name's Shannon. Today we are going to be learning about making boats. We are going to call this the Float the Boat Challenge. If you tuned in prior weeks, you maybe watched our lesson called Sink or Float, all about density. We know that some objects sink while others float. This is based on their density. Today, we are going to learn about buoyancy and how buoyancy affects our boats and how much they may be able to carry. Why do some objects sink while others float? We may think that heavier objects will sink and lighter objects will float, but that's not the case. Think about it this way. If you had a coin and you were out near the ocean and you threw that coin into the ocean, that coin would sink. But a big cruise ship would float. This shows us that weight does not determine whether an object will sink or float. We know that gravity keeps us on the ground. But how does gravity play an effect on if things sink or float? Let's take this object here. I'm going to put it in the water here and in this water tank here. Do you think it will sink or do you think it will float? Will it do the same thing in both containers? Let's test it. Do you think this object will sink or float? It sinks. Now, if we put it in this container, do you think it will still sink or do you think it will float? Let's test it. It floats in here, but it sinks in here. Why do you think this happens? The reason this might happen is because of the volume or amount of water in these containers. There's also a difference in what we call the surface area, or the surface of the water. When an object is in water, it will pull down with gravity. But as it pulls down, it will push that water aside. So as we put this into our container here, we will see the water rise. That is what we call displacement. Gravity pulls the displaced water down and causes this object to rise. This is showing buoyancy. Boat designers and engineers need to take buoyancy in account when building their boats. We are going to be testing our boats in this big water tub. You can build your boat out of aluminum foil, and you can use things like corks, markers, pencils, or whatever else you find around to build your boat. Let's see how you do it. My boat. Let's see if it will sink or float. It floats! Now that your boat will float, we're going to test how much weight your boat can carry. We are going to be using pennies to see how many pennies your boat can hold. Only use pennies. Don't switch them out for quarters, dimes, or nickels. Let's see. My boat finally sank. Let's see how many pennies it took. So, I've counted up my coins and I have $1.50, 150 coins. How many coins did your boat hold? Do you think you could change your design or the materials you use to have your boat hold more coins? It's important to know how much weight a boat can hold. When we test the weight of a boat, we can tell how many people can fit on a boat. For our boat, the Thea Marie, we can hold 49 passengers and 2 crew members. So 51 people total can be on our boat. Now, we are going to test how many pennies our boats can safely hold. In order to calculate how many pennies or people our boat could hold, we have to first determine the weight of our boat. The piece of aluminum foil for our boat weighed 1.8 grams. The corks each weighed 0.24 grams. So in total, the 4 corks weighed 0.96 grams. If we add together our aluminum foil and cork weight, our total boat weight is 2.76 grams. If each penny weighs 2.5 grams, our boat held about 375 grams. The way we calculate the person cost and the load weight is by taking our total weight held and dividing it by 5. If you take 375 grams and divide it by 5, you will get 75. You then take the 75 grams that your boat can safely hold and subtract the weight of your boat. That will give us an odd number, somewhere around 72 grams or so. We then take that 72 grams, which gives us our person weight. If each person is 2.5 grams, we can have about 28 people on our boat safely. Give it a shot and see how many pennies or people your boat can hold. Share your results with us. We'd love to see what you come up with.